Welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, May 9th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Councillor Shari Minions is not with us physically this evening, but she is on telephone. And we will call on her for her vote when she needs to vote, and I'm sure she'll make her presence known if need be. If not, she has a little one accompanying her, so congratulations to Shari and her husband Colin, who had a baby the other Sunday. 11-pound baby, so it's a big baby. Okay, so this evening, before we start the council meeting, our next addition to our emergency supply kit, the grab-and-go bag, is air filters, breathing mask, because you never know. You never know exactly what you're going to meet, but we understand by what's happening in our neighbors to the east in Fort McMurray and northeastern BC that a breathing mask would have been really useful in terms of an emergency kit. So this is the 8th installment of our effort to build a personal emergency supply kit, an initiative in support of the upcoming exercise coastal response event scheduled for June 7th to 10th. This will be British Columbia's first full-scale earthquake and tsunami response exercise in the Port Alberni region, and a great opportunity for our community to become better prepared and more resilient. Tonight's item is this set of dust masks for you and your family members. These are critical items that can help filter contaminated air from building debris, fire, or other harmful sources. Inhaling harmful substances during a disaster is a common threat and can cause serious health issues many years later. Protect your family with a mask for each person in your house. As a reminder, this kit, together with a $699 Briggs & Stratton generator from LB Woodchoppers, will be given away to one lucky person. To enter the contest, all you have to do is to send a photo of yourself with your kit or grab-and-go bag and submit it through the ACRD contest form on their website. The deadline for entries is May 27th at 4 p.m., so get yours in soon. The lucky winner will be announced on May 31st at Echo Center at the Shake Zone Earthquake Simulator event. This free family event runs from 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the Echo Center parking lot. I would also like to take this opportunity to invite the community to attend the upcoming Exercise Coastal Response public information session on Tuesday, May 17th at 7 p.m. at the Capitol Theatre. A number of resource professionals with expertise in earthquake seismology, urban search and rescue, and emergency preparedness will present information on the upcoming Exercise Coastal Response event and the impacts of a damaging crustal earthquake on southern Vancouver Island. Members of the Exercise Coastal Response Volunteer Coordination Team will also be in attendance to answer questions regarding volunteer opportunities during the exercise. And I'll be there with the City of Port Alberni grab-and-go bag, just in case you want to see what ours looks like to this point. So, Council, we have our agenda in front of us. Are there any late items, councillors? City Clerk, any late items?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there is one. It's item J6 from the ADSS track and field.
G-H-I-J.
Info correspondence.
The green piece of paper. The green piece of paper, and it's going into J6. Okay. Yes.
If I could, I'd just like to mention that what we've seen in Fort McMurray, you know, it's a fire, and we're looking for emergencies for earthquakes, but it could be an emergency because there's a fire coming down one of those hills, and we'd have to go. And I think that we should be definitely in solidarity with the people in Fort McMurray.
Absolutely agree, and in some ways the fire is more likely to happen in Port Alberni than an earthquake and tsunami. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, council, a motion to approve the agenda as amended would be in order.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And council, we have the minutes of the special meeting held at 1:30 PM and the regular council meeting held at 7 PM on April 25th, 2016. A motion to adopt those would be in order.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And which brings us to the public input period. It's an opportunity for the public to address council on topics of relevance to city council. A maximum of 4 speakers for no more than 3 minutes each will be accommodated. Is there somebody who wishes to address council? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Hello, City Hall. I've been
Just,
coming.
could you just give us your name?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Matthew Pearson.
Thank you, Matthew.
I've been coming by to talk about the bylaws regarding the governing of the medical marijuana dispensaries, and I was disappointed that there was not too much discussion at it in the last meeting. I had hoped that there would be a little bit of verbatim of the letter which I had written, and I had looked into researching these stats and quotes for a significant amount of time, some 8 hours, to make sure that I was calling on credible sources like the Center for Disease Control and, government agencies. So I'm just going to read it quickly. Thank you, City Council, for doing your best to create a safe, enjoyable community. I congratulate our members on their successful and impressive effects so shortly into their term. The City Council of Port Alberni has ratified an amendment which I contend discriminates against the business owners of medical marijuana dispensaries. It indicates that we are regulating marijuana as a recreational substance instead of it being a medical dispensary. The Government of Canada has already ceded on many fronts that marijuana has medical value. If marijuana has medical value, and if there are patients who are mobility impaired making use of it, the bylaw in contention is in violation of our charter rights. We cannot rightly or justifiably restrict access to that substance that we define as medicine. There should be no barriers further than what we put on reasonable business etiquette. If the business is noisy, disruptive, or potentially going to cause a flood of complaints from the community, then by all means, let us create legislation that prevents those issues. If there was complaints, I haven't heard of them, and these could be easily handled on a case-by-case basis as we do with all our other complaints. Our Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees our right to life. To remove availability of a required medicine by which to prevent injury or illness is a direct affront to this principle. I require marijuana for the prevention of migraine headaches. My frequency of painful episodes increase if I am restricted from access to legal medication. If we admit this is a medication, we should be compelled by the same fundamental principles of justice by which we would regulate a medical supplier. There are more over-the-counter deaths in the US than by street drugs, and it's like some 45,000 to 17,000. And by the way, those 17,000, they're opiates. And guess what? Half those opiates are coming from our medicine cabinets. So yeah, it's coming from over the counter, the stuff that's dangerous, or whatever's being sold down here on 3rd in Argyle behind BMO. And it must be a wet house because they've been selling crack and heroin and meth there for the last year. And last year I was living on Argyle, and I was having these people come into my house so that I could feed them. I could talk to them about their problems. I was meeting 14-year-old girls who are high on meth and then taken advantage of by older men. And the problem isn't marijuana, okay? So when we don't open our doors and our hearts to these people who need our help, then we're leaving them open to being taken advantage of by people who will take advantage of them. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm over time.
Okay. Thank you, Matthew.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson.
Neil, that's Nate. Just a few comments on medical marijuana. They're being sold for recreational purposes. If it was only being sold for medical reasons, there may be a very slight argument to legitimize these stores. It's being sold for recreational purposes as well. That's illegal. It's also legal to sell it to a storefront for medical reasons. Create legislation. That legislation should be created by the federal and provincial governments, not by municipal governments or whichever other means. Removing medicine, come on, we're back to this medical thing again. And that's basically my point. We're bouncing this ball around and around and around. It's not medical, it's recreational, and the legislation should come from the province and the federal government, and
Okay.
both the city and the last speaker, I think, is a little mixed up in their priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Anybody else wish to address council? Okay, then that brings us to item D, which is a delegation from the Alberni Valley Transition Town, John Maba and Sarah Thomas, on Bike to Work Week. I love your shirts.
Thank you. Yeah, we
hot
just
off
got
the
them
press?
today.
Ah,
So, thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing us to speak with you tonight. As I think most of you know, Cycle Alberni is a committee that was started by Alberni Valley Transition Towns, and primarily to promote Bike to Work Week last year. But we actually found out that as we progressed with our activities, we were generating a lot of interest in the community. There were 156 people involved in Bike to Work Week last year, and we followed that up with a couple of events which Sarah is going to tell you about. But one of the things that I always am most excited and proud about is the night that all of you came on your bicycles to City Hall. And that now infamous picture, I think, was possibly responsible for the grant that we received this year from the BC government. Last year we got $500 for Bike to Work Week. This year we got $1,000, and it has allowed us to actually hire Sarah as the Bike to Work Week coordinator. So I'd like to turn the podium over to her now.
Okay, thanks, John, and thanks, Mayor and Council, for having us this evening. Can I just click some slides here? So there's the members of transition towns and organizations that are big supporters. So just a little bit to talk about why I care about active transportation, health, economy, accessibility, sustainability, and social interaction. It's more than just people on bikes. There's the really deep-rooted community benefits to having people cycling and up and around in the community. There's more cyclists than ever before in Canada today, and in fact, according to the Canadian Cycling Association, there's 45% of Canadian population that actually rides a bike, which then leads into stats on commuting. In Port Alberni, 1.3% of people, commuters, according to Statistics Canada 2011 results, actually bike to work, which is less than the average of similar communities on Vancouver Island, which is at 2%. And the Victoria and Vancouver results are very interesting. The Vancouver results, these are new results that just came out, a report that was put out in 2015. They figure up to 10% of work-related trips in the city of Vancouver that are taken by bicycle, which is amazing and certainly changes the dynamic of the streetscape. And in Port Alberni, we have a huge opportunity because with biking and walking in particular, short distances make a big difference. And 2.5 kilometers is the number that's thrown around quite a bit. And in fact, in Port Alberni, we have 42.2% of people that drive less than 3 kilometers to get to work. So there's a huge body of possible people that might cycle or walk if the opportunity, was a little easier. Sorry, this is a little dark and hard to see, but just to talk briefly about a couple of events that we did in the past few months, and thanks to a number of you that were there and involved in these events. 50 people came out to discuss upcoming projects, where they'd like to ride, what might be, some hindrances to riding now. And then we held some bike counts in April. 20 volunteers, we counted 381 cycle trips as well as 703 pedestrian trips in different areas around town. Tons of data, and I could talk all day, but just to make it brief, one graph that kind of caught me, some specific data. We had one person who was counting at the dip, and she was just so fascinated because if you think, just don't think about the slide for a sec, but just visualize the dip. The west side of the road, the sidewalk, is straight, and on the east side it bends. So when you're heading from Southport to Northport, that sidewalk is challenging if one is trying to bike on the sidewalk because one doesn't feel safe on the road, which in this data, when we were counting, actually 50% of the cyclists use the road and 50% use the sidewalks, which is, I was shocked. I really thought 50% is quite high. But that was exactly what it was, 50-50. And of that 50% on the sidewalks, 9 out of 11 of those people were on the west side, which is the straight side. So that's, there's tons more we could go into here. I'm so fascinated by this information, and it's come up a number of times, curb letdown on that side because you can then cut through the park by the arena. I don't know if that makes any sense. I should have a picture of it here, but I don't. Anyhow, we'll come back to that at the recommendations, but just a snapshot of the data and more of what we're hearing. 3 kind of summary points are people love biking. This is a critical mass ride that we held last year, and a bunch of people just showed up. I don't remember what day it was, Friday afternoon or something, to go for a ride around town, rode up to the mall and looped back down 3rd Avenue or down Argyle to Shars Landing. It could be safer. Redford is scary. The corner of Gertrude and Roger is challenging to cross. These are some quotes that we've heard from people. And in this hazard sign, you see the key things that people have identified as challenges when they are biking: sidewalks, driver speed, intersections, rocks on the road, curbs uptown, logging trucks, lighting or lack thereof. But people would love to bike if it was safe and convenient. This was very interesting. We had a meeting, this again, February 17 event, and as part of the meeting, the city presented the bike lane layouts with some painted lines and some sharrows that are being proposed, and everyone is very excited about this plan and about the opportunity to have cycle lanes in the city. And a couple people came and brought this picture and said, let's go farther, we want to have dedicated roads. So anyway, that's just, a picture to put it in there. People are excited that bike lanes are moving forward. Again, when I went to pick up the t-shirts today, I got a comment on my way out. Yeah, what's happening with the bike lanes? I see there's like 2 pictures on the road. Are more coming? Yes, they're coming. So people are excited. A person operating a bicycle has the same rights and duties as a driver in a vehicle, according to the Motor Vehicle Act. So the question is how to help make those easier. So here's our very exciting example. Thank you so much to the city. This is the Alberni the Alberni Valley has a bike lane on Hector Road already. This is Port Alberni proper's first bike lane on Gertrude Street Bridge. And this curb letdown, which you can see on the right-hand side at the bottom there, means that there's options for people. If people are biking on the sidewalk, they can then, or coming across on the bike lane, then they can then go onto the sidewalk because there is no bike lane on this side of the road. So if people don't feel safe, that's an option. It also helps create opportunity if people are using a wheelchair or other mobility devices. So very excited about this bridge, and love biking across it. Can't wait till there's bike lanes connecting it on either side. A few quick recommendations for the short term. This path is the path along the railway tracks that connects from Roger Street to Johnston Street. A lot of people use this path. During the bike counts, we thought, well, let's count and see. And actually, it was our high point. 47 pedestrians in a 3-hour time period. Mike's telling me I better talk faster. Key infrastructure adjustments. Again, like I mentioned with the dip, there's a few opportunities where such projects could go a long way with a small change. So we've been working on trying to map some of these, and our hope for council is that in all infrastructure and road improvements, you can look at such cycling, suggestions that have been suggested by the cycling community and see, okay, well, could we fit this in this project? Also decreasing the road on designated cycle routes. If they're perhaps off the main arterial roads, there's an opportunity to do that and increase the safety for pedestrians and cyclists. The same with the logging trucks. Can talk more about this, but certainly people comment to me about this all the time, especially on Redford, really being freaked out when the trucks fly by. So maybe there's an opportunity to have a different speed limit for trucks as for cars, or mandate that they're on the inside lane, for instance. Over to John just to speak very briefly about Bike to Work Week, as in 10 seconds or less.
No, I've got a minute and a half, isn't it? Anyway, Bike to Work Week starts off on Sunday, May 29th, with a bike rodeo for the kids at Save On Foods. Then Monday is a two-pronged event at Steampunks put on by both Kevin and Gary Robertson at Alien Sports. They're going to have an event from 8 to 10 in the morning and from 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Tuesday, the Barclay Hotel is hosting us with a celebration event from 4 to 6. Wednesday, from 7:30 to 9 a.m., we've got Bike to School Day, and that was very successful last year. And on Thursday, we're trying something new around Echo Center. We're going to do Bike to the Ball Game night. So we're hoping that everybody that comes out to play ball that night will ride their bike, and we'll register them, and they can get all the same incentive prizes that all the other people get all week long, including a trip, registration for a trip to Vietnam on a guided cycling tour for 2 weeks. And on Friday, June 3rd, the finale is hosted by Hoopachesset First Nation, a salmon barbecue for everyone that comes on their bike, and that's going to be at Victoria Key. So we're very excited about that. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite council and mayor once again to bring your bikes. The next council meeting is actually before Bike to Work Week, but I think what we could do is take the picture out in the parking lot, and then we'll splash it all over the newspaper as an advertisement for Bike to Work Week, so you can help us promote this year's events. Thank you.
Okay, so there are actually two things we can do to help promote. One is that picture on May 24th, the council meeting, and the other one is you can get in touch with Jake Martin so you can make sure that this information gets on our website.
Great.
So we can put a link on there. It would be great. Council, questions? Councillor McClellan.
Yeah, you're the very first person that said something good about that bridge. Just so you know.
I'm very excited about it.
I'm scared. I watched my grandson run down the side there and off into the so-called bike lane right into traffic because he's following the dots. And when I explained to him that was for bikes, he said, well, over there they got bikes. Why do they need another one? So it's, I think that if we're going to have bike lanes and bikeways and trails, we should be coordinating it. Like you say, the city has done this and done that, but I haven't seen here any plans, any patterns where when we get to the city limits, we're going to get into the regional district. Is it going to be a continued? And I think those things have to happen. But really, you know, I'm getting an awful lot of complaints. Today was 2 people on the same phone making sure I didn't miss them. And so just so you know.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
But if you do have ideas for where bike lanes should be, I think they should, whatever committee's doing it, it should somehow get through council and get to people who, so we know what we're saying. Because I'm not hearing it, and I'd hear it out in the streets and I say, oh, so I don't know.
Okay, anybody else on council? Okay, so thank you so much, John and Sarah, for your presentation. It was a great presentation, good pictures.
Thanks a lot.
Many of them local, although I did notice Vancouver in at
Great.
least one.
And we will continue to work with City Hall on the bike lanes and all the other cycling infrastructure issues. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, brings us to Part E, Council on unfinished business. City Manager, we have information now on the exempt management group policies. You gonna walk us through that
Sure.
report?
Mr. Mayor, Council has my report regarding the Rogers report. Council will recall that the report on the management review, organization and compensation review was completed in September 2015, received by Council at a special in-camera meeting October 5, 2015, and released to the public on February 9th. And at that time, there were a number of decisions made by Council on all recommendations, with the exception of recommendations 3 and 4, which dealt completely with salary and benefits for exempt staff. So those recommendations discussions on those recommendations were continued to be in camera, where Council continued to have considerable discussions on those points. If Davina will work with me, I'd like to walk you through a chart that outlines the issues that Council has addressed. And attached to this report are a number of policies, and the policies reflect the decisions made by council. So, Mr. Mayor, if you like, I can walk you through one by one.
That would be great, if you
So
could do
the
that.
first item, management executive group plan. That was a provision for exempt employees. Exempt employees are non-union employees. And this provision primarily in lieu of extra hours or overtime. Exempt employees don't earn overtime. And Rogers recommended that the city roll a 6% value from that MEG program into the base salaries. And I can back up and say that Rogers echoed previous consultants who said that the city paid lower than average salaries to exempt employees when compared to other similar communities, but that our benefit costs were higher than average from those same communities. So she's recommended that we collapse that provision, and council's action was to eliminate the provision and convert the 6% value to a 4% salary increase across the board for exempt employees, and that results in a 2% cost reduction to the city, and there's a policy attached to this report that addresses that. The next item, time in lieu of overtime. Rogers further recommended that council should give consideration to other options that recognize overtime by exempt employees. And council did, and council directed that a program be established that would enable exempt employees to access up to 2 weeks of time in lieu of overtime worked. And again, there's a policy attached outlining that. The third item, special agreement pension. Exempt employees were part of a special agreement pension plan that saw the employer contribute 1% of salary and matched by those employees, another 1%. And Rogers noted that that special agreement for exempt staff could be discontinued. Council directed that discontinue the special agreement pension, and in lieu of the loss of that benefit, provide a one-time payment to exempt employees of 2 years' contributions. And that's an estimated total cost to the city of $34,000. And there's a policy attached to address that. Rogers noted that the city had a practice of exempt employees who had not used all of their annual vacation in a year being able to accumulate that or to bank those vacations. And in some cases, that bank time had accumulated or was accumulating. So Rogers recommended that a policy be put in place to prevent the accumulation of that holiday. And in fact, the city has a policy, and from this point forward, we'll be adhering completely to that policy so that there's not any accumulation of unused vacation. Council directed that that policy be followed, and that a policy be developed that where exempt employees have accumulated banked vacation, that those employees must use at least 1 week of that banked accumulated unused holidays until that bank is exhausted, and there's a policy attached outlining that. The next item under benefits, that's extended medical, dental, and life insurance. And Rogers recommended that the cities take legal advice, and she used the terms reflect best practices, and with regard to a list of items including benefit package and cost of premiums for the municipality. And so council's spent a fair bit of time looking at this, and in the end, council directed that the exempt employee benefit plan for exempt staff and for council be changed to reflect the QP plan, those are unionized employees, for dental, optical, and extended health benefits. And there's a policy attached outlining that. Flex scheduling, the city unionized and exempt employees practice a 9-day fortnight work schedule where employees work extra time each day, and then every second week get a day off in lieu. And Rogers recommended that council may want to assess whether or not this practice is impacting the timeliness and efficiency of providing services due to staff's availability. And council directed to remove the right to flex language from all contracts effective July 1st, 2017, but that no changes be made to the current practice. On the next item, job evaluation program. The city has a well-established job evaluation program, and this is not a performance evaluation program. This evaluates a position, and as jobs change and sometimes duties are added or changed. This program involves an objective assessment of that position, and each position gets rated when it's evaluated, and the rating then cross-references into salary range. So Rogers, she made no special recommendation regarding the exempt job evaluation program, but in the discussion on the policies, council spent some time looking at this one, and council directed that we revise our job evaluation program and change it from a small committee making that review to the city manager, the CAO, would conduct that job evaluation program work and then would present those changes to the city's personnel committee, which is a committee of council, and there's a policy attached outlining that. The next item, annual salary increases. The city's current or previous policy was that exempt staff, exempt employees and council receive annual increases in salary or stipend that is equal to the percentage of consumer price index increases from the previous year. And Rogers recommended that the city seek legal advice in updating employment agreements and reflect best practices, and excuse me, including on the issue of policy of annual salary adjustments. So council directed that the city's policy be amended that so that it exempt personnel and council's remuneration would not automatically increase, and that on an annual basis the CAO would make a recommendation to council regarding increases for exempt employee salaries and council remuneration. And there's a policy attached to that. And Mr. Mayor, I think we may have to make a bylaw change going forward to the council remuneration bylaw as well. And the last item, exempt employee employment agreements. Each of our exempt employees, because they're not in a collective, they're not unionized, they're not party to a collective agreement, so each of our exempt employees has an individual contract, an agreement with the employer. Rogers recommended that all exempt staff contracts be reviewed and updated to reflect best practices. And council directed that the implementation of new employment agreements occur at every opportunity when a new exempt employee is hired and when existing exempt employees are promoted, and further that the 4% salary increase and one-time lump sum payment in lieu of special agreement pension be added to each exempt salary only at the time when exempt employees sign a new employment agreement. Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, council, any questions? City Manager, thank you so much for reviewing that for us and for the city. You're right to point out that it took a long time to work through all of this, but it is people's future and people's incomes that we were talking about, so we wanted to make sure we got it right. Council, we have let me just clarify one thing. You said on the annual salary increase pertaining to council, is there a policy or something missing in that suggested policy?
Mr. Mayor, it occurs to me as I'm reading this that there is a council remuneration bylaw that may need to be changed to reflect this change. So the exempt employee salary increases are in policy. The council remuneration increases are in bylaw. So we may need to bring you a bylaw to reflect this change. A bylaw review.
Okay.
Revision.
So it's not something we have to do tonight, but we will have to get it done.
That's correct. That was my oversight. Apologize.
All right. Then any questions, council? Then Councillor Paulson, are you prepared to make that motion?
That the report from the acting city manager dated May the 3rd, 2015 be received, and council for the city of Port Alberni endorse the following policies in regards to exempt employee benefits as presented. P6, Supervisory Management Executive Group Plan, exempt staff, MEG. P6, lieu time provision, exempt employees. P6, Special Superannuation Agreement, exempt staff. P6, Benefits of Supervisory, exempt staff. And P6, Salary Administration, exempt positions.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion, council? And just to let the people here know that, you know, we have been discussing this for a long time. It's taken a lot of time from council's time, months of time to go through this. But as I said, we wanted to make sure we got it right. And so now this is an important next step in terms of moving forward. So on the motion, all those in favor?
For.
And you're for as well, Councillor Minions?
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Thank you. Then Council, brings us to Part F, staff reports. Councillor Washington for accounts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the certification of the Director of Finance dated May 9, 2016 be received and checks numbered 134938 to 134994, inclusive, in payments of accounts totaling $281,312.74 be approved.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And we have a summary of a 5-year plan presented from the Deputy City Clerk Communications Coordinator. Council, it is a summary document of 2016 to 2020 5-year financial plan, done in what we believe is a slightly more readable format. I think somebody's training to, you know, to get on council. I mean, there's the minion dog, maybe. One of the things that we had asked for was to not only have it visual, but also to put it into a bit of context, council, and you can see that it shows the impact each year on the average house for each component of this. So it's a nice format from that perspective. Lots of comparables or comparables in there. Question, council. Councillor Paulson? Okay, Councillor Paulson is going to ask first, and then Councillor Minions.
Just in the chart, I was just wondering if we could direct the Director of Finance to include the 2015 actuals when they come available. I gather that's not till about June, but it would give us a more accurate read on where we're at today and where we're going forward.
Right.
Do we need a motion for that, or?
City Manager, do we need a motion? No, okay, thank you. Councillor Minions.
Thank you. Mine was similar. I was just going to say I love the format. It looks fantastic. I think it's really helpful to have the information presented that way. I was just going to comment that maybe since this is something that's extra that we don't actually, I assume, have to do or put out by a certain date, in future years we might want to put it out once the 2015 or once the prior year is available, and it might even line up well with property tax time. So anyways, but I love it, and thank you for putting it into that format.
Okay, thank you for your comment. It is does give people an opportunity to look at it for a month or so before they get their property taxes in the mail, or the property tax notice in the mail. It's something that has taken Jake a lot of time, together with many other people, I know, but it's a different kind of format for us. So City Manager staff is to be congratulated on all the hard work that went into creating this document. Anything else, Council? Councillor McClement?
Yeah, just, I think it's a fantastic format. I'm just curious, is it available in a hard copy for anyone to pick up, or do they gotta go to the web page, or where would they find this?
It's interesting you should ask that, because I was thinking I'd love to have one in hard copy. City Clerk.
We can make them available in hard copy, Mr. Mayor, for anyone who requests them, but it will be posted to the city's website as well.
Okay. Yeah, probably good to have a few hard copies in color, because it is, so visual.
They look so pretty.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, Councillor Sauvé, are you prepared to make this motion?
That the 2016 and 2020 5-year financial plan summary be received.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor?
For.
Carried. Thank you. City Manager, we've had a fair amount of work done on the declaration of healthy communities. You have a report on this?
Mr. Mayor, Council directed at the January 11, 2016 meeting that a report be provided regarding a request to pass a declaration of the right to a healthy environment. And this reflects the Blue Dot movement from the David Suzuki Foundation. And Council further directed recently that this item be prioritized. And so staff has put their hand to it, and a report is in front of you. In the best, and this does align nicely with the strategic plan as far as our strategic plan, as far as item 3.1, protecting water, air, and land quality. Probably important to note that there are to date 133 municipal governments in Canada that have passed a declaration similar to the one before you. A number of those on Vancouver Island and British Columbia. The declaration in the report before you is different than that proposed initially, and staff worked with Councillor Alberni and tried to develop a declaration that was specific to Port Alberni, our situation, the good work we've already done, and a declaration that didn't tie our hands into onerous a way going forward, and but at the same time did make a declaration that was consistent with what was recommended by, among others, our Food Security and Climate Disruption Committee. So we think we've come up with a declaration that does meet the intent of their initial ask, and might be something the council will want to consider. So that's what's before you.
Okay. Comment, Council? Councillor Alberni, do you want to make that motion?
Certainly, that the acting city manager's report dated May 2nd, 2016 be received, and Council for the City of Port Alberni endorse a declaration of the right to a healthy environment as presented.
Your seconder.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor McClellan?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think it's much better than what I was fearing was going to come, because once you give someone a right and when they don't get it, they have an opportunity to take legal action against this. I don't think we have the power to grant a lot of this, but if the citizens of Port Alberni can have this right, that would be good. Possibly the federal government has that power, I'm not sure. But there's one amendment I would like to make, Mr. Mayor, if I may. And I'd like to amend the line that says prioritizing walking, cycling, and public transit to change the word to promoting walking, cycling, and public transit. And I have a second, I'll explain why.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
And the reason being, Mr. Mayor, I'm just concerned, and I don't disagree with the concept or the thought there, but I'm concerned that if we're prioritizing that over something else that's necessary, like sewers and whatnot, that it may become a conflict at some now or at some future council, and that's the only concern I have, and that's why I think that I'd like to see that changed.
Okay. Is there a comment on this? Councillor Alberni?
I guess my only comment would be that it's prioritizing it as a mode of transportation rather than anything to do with sewers or water or any other infrastructure. So I think it's just a matter of you know, do we take it into account as a priority when we're dealing with our road infrastructure, and just like we did with the Catsuxis Bridge, to make sure that all of those considerations are put forward right away.
There's a challenge when you give it a priority, because you could end up with a project that doesn't necessarily reflect what's in the best interest of everybody that's needing to use that. And I'm just thinking of that Catsuxis Bridge. Yeah, so I certainly endorse Councillor McClellan, your suggestion on that word. I can hear Councillor Minion's in the background there. She's got something she wants to say.
No, I don't. I agree with that. I think although I read it over and thought it was, it sounded good, but I see the reasoning behind promote versus prioritize.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment, Council? So you're suggesting the amendment? An amendment?
Made an
And it's
amendment,
been
Mr. Mayor, and it was seconded, and so
Okay.
it needs to be voted on.
Any other comment? So all those in favor of the amendment?
Floor.
Okay, opposed? Okay, the amendment carries. So one word change. And then on to the main motion to endorse the declaration with the amendment. All those in favor?
Floor.
Carried. Thank you.
Playing golf.
Okay, we have a report from the city planner on possible street renaming. City planner's here. Thank you, city planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council had asked for some information and a potential process for the potential renaming of Gertrude, Stamp, and a portion of 3rd Avenue. It's between those streets. It's a fairly long street through the, north-south along the majority of the city. There's a small portion of 3rd Avenue east of Catalyst Mill above that's not continuous with those streets, so that could remain as named Third Avenue.
Right.
Both Stamp and Gertrude are names that were associated with early non-native settlement of the region, so they do have a history of where those names came from. City doesn't have an official street naming policy. Right now, we do have a list of approved street names that a developer can choose from for a new street, or if a developer has a theme or a different idea, then they would suggest a street name, and that would then come to City Council for approval, for instance. If a new street name or new street name would need to be vetted through the 911 emergency system to ensure that there's not a like name within the city or the region or the valley. The proposed street name change to Gertrude, Stamp, and 3rd would directly impact about 110 commercial properties and about 140 residential properties, and several of those residential properties are multifamily, so representing a larger number of people. And if a street name was changed, the city would certainly install new street signage, and then we would need to change our digital mapping and information systems. That would involve some staff resources from a number of departments to change addressing, business accounts, utility bills, and fire department software. The city would, if that went through, advise 911, Canada Post, private utility companies, and we would also provide a documented letter to all impacted property owners and tenants. Now, those property owners and tenants would be responsible for ensuring that address change was reflected in all their documents. So, for instance, they'd have to change their driver's license and any banking or financial information, those kinds of things. Businesses would have to change, their business accounts, letterhead, local advertising, websites, and any legal documentation that they have. I did talk to Canada Post, and with a city change, they would offer a free 6-month letter or mail forwarding service. It is recommended that prior to the city pursuing this, that we write to those impacted property owners, tenants, and businesses, basically letting them know that we're considering this and asking and what the implications may be, and asking for their comments back either in writing or via email by a certain date, present that information to council. We're also recommending that we invite the local emergency services agencies to comment to council as well, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
So are they're sending the note, writing to those who are potentially impacted, is that what's done elsewhere?
I didn't look what other municipalities do. This is just something that seems, that would be something I would recommend that we do talk to those, because those property owners, tenants, and businesses will be directly affected. So I think it would be a good idea to at least advise them that this is what we're considering.
Right.
But it's completely up to council.
Okay. Councillor McClement and then Councillor Sobey.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just make a motion that we receive the report from the city planner and that council of the city of Port Alberni direct communication staff to start the renaming process for the thoroughfare, now named 3rd Avenue, Stamp Avenue, and Gertrude Street, and to notify all property owners and tenants, relevant emergency and government and utility services of the upcoming change to take effect by July the 1st, 2017. Have a seconder? I'll explain that.
Okay, is there a seconder?
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And I absolutely agree. We should be contacting the businesses, should contact the residences, and let them know what we want to do. We have to come up with a name, whichever way we come up with a name, and it's got to be done like city planner said. It's got to be okay with 911 and a whole bunch of other people. But it is something that the council last year said we wanted to do by the anniversary of the two cities getting together, I believe it was.
Right.
That Councillor Polson's in charge of totally. And so that's what I thought we could do and speed the process up and also get all the people notified that has to be notified.
Okay.
If that's what council wants to do.
Thank you. And Councillor Sobey and then Councillor Paulson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Changing the name of the main drag going through South and North Port, I don't think has anything to do with reuniting a city. We're already united. Second of all, I'm just wondering where our priorities are being straight and why we're even entertaining and doing this now. The fact of the mayhem it's going to cause for businesses, changing addresses, for personal properties, over 100 personal properties, having to change their medical card, driver's license, not only that, but legal documents having to do with their housing and all that. And if you're telling me there's not going to be a cost to our local residents, there's something else to be said, because it is going to be a cost to residents. And with the way we are going at this point in time, I do not find this to be a priority. I don't see a need for it. I could tell you right now, for the rezoning and mapping of the 911 system, I can't speak on behalf of the fire department, but just the police alone, there is going to be a major cost. So who's going to take that cost? So right now, and I would like a vote to be recorded on this, please, and I just don't see this as being as a priority for this council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Paulson, then Councillor Alberni.
I might just get a little anecdotal here, but in previous time when I was working, I had, as part of my work, interaction with many hundreds, if not thousands of people, of visitors to our community. And I think this is one way of making our community more visitor friendly. And I don't know how many times I stood there and tried to explain to people how to get to the Harbor Quay. And after I gave the instructions, they said, that's a little complicated, I don't think I'm gonna bother. But when I said you have to turn left on Johnson Road, you'll go on to Gertrude, but Gertrude becomes Stamp, and then it becomes 3rd Avenue. And about that time, they would glaze over and they would just say, well, I'm just going to continue on with my other plans. I will tell you that I had thousands of instances. I had people from Russia, Germany, the United States, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all approached me in my time at the multiplex and in various other jobs. And I think it's a nice project. I think it's a project that makes our community more visitor and friendly. That's the anecdote that I have on that. I just think it's a good project for the city. We've got over a year of lead-in time. Many businesses don't carry more than 6 months of stationery. Some don't go through that much, but we've got over a year of lead-in time to make the changeover and to go into a computer and make some changes on, for 9/11 and stuff like that. I can't see that there would be a major cost. Maybe I'm missing something, but anyway, that's just my feeling on it. We're making some changes on the community. We're trying to change the look of Johnson Road. Let's make the community more visitor-friendly, and easier to get around, and easier to understand. The other fact that I just want to talk about is there may be some concern that we're losing Captain Stamp's identity by maybe removing the street name, but Captain Stamp, I think, probably at this point deserves more of a monument type with a true historical, where somebody can actually go and get in touch with what he did historically. I mean, Stamp Avenue to the average visitor probably won't mean much, but I think if we had a historical at the Quay or at Victoria Quay, it would make some sense to me. But anyway, that's just my feeling, and I'd like to move our community forward and make it more visitor friendly.
Thank you. Councillor Alberni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On top of the tourism aspects that I think Councillor Paulson put out very well, just a few things. If we were to imagine a new city being built, and we were naming all of our streets, the one thing I think we could guarantee is that a street that went from one end of the town to the other wouldn't have three names. So even though it's sort of it's a mishmash of Alberni for the Gertrude part, it's a mishmash of the Catalyst when Catalyst paper was originally built for Stamp Avenue, and then it's a mishmash of City Port Alberni when 3rd Avenue is there. So this really is a legacy of when the community was two different entities. So I think it's very valid to try to bring it together and have one name throughout for the community to have in place. So it's a good project, I think, from that end, and especially with the centennial coming up, that's a very logical time. The other opportunity it brings, I think, with the historical aspect, with Captain Stamp, I mean, we still have the Stamp River, of course, bearing his name. I think Councillor Paulson's ideas of a proper monument to him would be appropriate as well. But as far as opportunities going forward, I see this as a way of finally bringing our First Nations into the landscape of the city, and perhaps this would be a place where we could finally have a First Nations name or representation in our streetscape, which I don't think exists currently. So that's a possibility that could come out of this, that I think could really augment what it would bring to the community. There's other communities that have done this kind of thing. Langford's gone through with their Memorial Parkway. I believe not too long ago they renamed that to the Memorial Parkway. So there's other examples out there of communities going through this process. So I think it's worth going forward on. It's a good way to bring the community together, especially with the Centennial Project, and I hope we can make it happen.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sort of have to agree with Councillor Sylvia. My biggest concern is the businesses, the address renaming, having to change your website, having to change your personal identification. I don't know how well it would go over with the people on those streets and roads, but definitely worth some consultation with them before we forge ahead with it. And like I say, Canada Post will take care of us for 6 months, but there are people up there who've got some advertising, got some stuff. They've got trucks printed. They've got a lot of advertising out there, and I'd like to hear what they have to say before we forge ahead with this.
Yeah, I agree, and that's in the motion suggested by Councillor McClellan. Councillor McClellan?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, when I first moved to Port Alberni, that was quite some weeks ago, but I am one of them people that did come a bit later. I think it was only 50 years. But shortly after I got here, my street number was changed from 3 digits, which was 127 or whatever, 2nd Avenue, to 4 digits real quick, and the entire town, entire valley, not just the town, got all new numbers from Camp A to Camp B, I think they grafted out, and I forget how far up there. And for some reason, they started at the far reaches and ended at the water. Every other town started at the water so you could figure it out. But the late councillor, George McKnight, spearheaded that. I think he figured, in fact, I know he had hoped for the town to move out to the Franklin River logging camp. And that's what he was looking for. So everybody in this town that time had to change their number. Every business, everybody's driver's license, everybody's everything. And they didn't have computers. Now, maybe it's harder on a computer than on a piece of paper, and I might have to agree with that sometimes, but I think it's something that everyone said needs to be done. I think we just do it. If some people need assistance or some business needs some kind of help and put on web pages or something to help them out, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, Councillor Sauvé. Oh, sorry, City Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, it's just when everyone's finished discussion, just like Councillor McClellan to clarify the motion, because I don't believe it did involve consultation. It was just to proceed to do it.
Tell them what we're doing, and if they have answers, they can do it. Something like that. I'll read it out.
Okay, Councillor Sauvé.
A simple fact is the cost. And, you know, we're dealing with over 250 taxpayers and business and residential, and is it fair to start throwing this at them? So I'm going to represent those 250 and up, and, you know, and the true aspect of the heritage issue is I also have a problem. I believe those streets needs to be protected due to the heritage. And talking about monuments and all this, I don't know where all this costs. I don't think anybody has any idea what cost is this going to be portrayed to. But I know one cost for something, and it's going to be asked the city to pay for it. So that's why I don't think it's a good timing right now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, on the vote, this is a recorded vote. Do you need to hear the motion? Okay, Councillor McClellan.
The motion started out by accepting the report from the city planner. And the council of the city of Port Alberni direct communication staff to start the renaming process for the thoroughfare, now named 3rd Avenue, Stamp Avenue, and Gertrude Street, and to notify all property owners and tenants, relevant emergency government and utility services of the upcoming change to take effect by July the 1st, 2017.
Thank you. Councillor McClellan?
For.
Sauvé?
Against.
Councillor Paulson?
For.
For? In favor, sorry. Councillor Minions?
For.
For.
And Councillor Washington?
Against.
Okay, the motion is carried. Okay, council, we have a current status report. Are there any questions on our current status report? Councillor Minions, do you have a question on the status report?
No.
Okay, then Councillor Washington, are you prepared to make the motion to receive?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the current status report be received.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor?
For.
Carried. And now we're on to managers' monthly reports. Oh, City Planner, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The majority items on my monthly report are coming later in the meeting associated with this, the April Advisory Planning Commission. There's several applications there. I'd be pleased to go through them now or at that time if that would be more convenient, or to answer any questions that council may have.
Yeah, my suggestion is let's deal with them at the time as we're going through them.
Certainly.
Then, are there any questions, specific questions to the report, council? Then, Councillor Alberni, do you want to move receipt of that report?
That the monthly report from the city planner providing information about current departmental operations be received.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And now we're on to bylaws. Our bylaws are required for the adoption of regulations, financial plans, changes to land use policy, and to approve borrowing. A bylaw requires 4 separate resolutions to be adopted and must be considered over a minimum of 2 council meetings. Each reading enables council to reflect on the bylaw before proceeding further. So we have our first, under bylaws, portion of road closure adjacent to 4065 McBride Street. Councillor Alberni, would you like to make that motion?
That portion of road closure adjacent to 4065 McBride Street and removal of dedication bylaw number 4896 be now finally adopted, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with corporate seal, and numbered 4896.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Minions, were you in favor?
Yes.
And fire control bylaw, outdoor burning. Councillor Sobey, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
That the fire control bylaw 2015 number 1 outdoor burning bylaw number 4906 be now finally adopted, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the corporate seal, and numbered 4906.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor?
More.
Opposed? Carried. 1 opposition. Okay. And from the city planner and the advisory planning commission, we have a summary report. City planner, could you please go through the 3 development applications for us?
Oh, certainly. So the first application is actually a text amendment to our C3, our service commercial zone, but it's being driven by a particular application at 3135 2nd Avenue. And the property owner is applying to amend to add a public market as a permitted use to that zone to establish an open-air public market at that location.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Councillor McClement?
Yeah, Mr. Ambrose, I guess, as it says here, he just bought that. I thought he lived somewhere nearby there for a while. But I noticed that it says that the hours of operation are kind of, I think it's 4 to 6 or something I saw on the previous page. Is this every day of the week? When I went by last, it was only Fridays, and then someone told me it's been increased to Friday and Saturday. And I guess I'm getting nervous that we've decimated and particleized our farmers markets to the point where I got to go to 2 or 3 to find everything I'm looking for. And I've always supported them, and I hope I always do, but it's getting difficult to. And I know we can't tell private people where to go and what to do, but it's just a concern I have.
So those hours of operations are proposed by the applicant. They're not governed by that. During the public hearing, that would certainly be something that City Council could ask him about what his hours of operation may be. And it may change in the summertime. During the peak of the summer, they may have longer operations, or they may see how the business goes.
Yeah, it's either 12 hours or 12 to 6. So he might be thinking the farmers market down at Harbor Key closes at 12. So if it's open at 12. And I'm not sure the rationale, but that's possible. Just speculating.
I was just thinking if it was the same time, at least people could go to one to the other if they couldn't get what they wanted and didn't have to come back another time. You go to Duncan, and they have 2 streets of all kinds of merchants, or 3 streets, I guess, and around a bit of a corner. And so if one person will go where you want, you just keep on walking. And so anyway, I just a bit disappointed what's happened to our farmers markets here.
Right. Anybody else? Okay. The next development application?
So the second application is at 4981 Ian Avenue. It's a large single-family residential lot, and the proposal is to go to a mix of zones to allow it to be subdivided into 4 legal parcels. 3 of those legal parcels would be our small lot single-family residential zone, and 1 would be for a duplex, and that's the plan there. So two of the small single-family lots would front Ian Avenue. There'd be one small single-family lot off of Cox behind those, and then the duplex lot back in there. The applicant does, has indicated that he'll remove the existing house, and that would allow this to potentially occur. And so this is what's being proposed for this particular application.
How many lots are there right now?
It's one legal parcel currently.
One. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Council? Okay, and the third one?
Third application is for 5820 Pierce Road. It's a larger parcel off of Pierce Road where a fire destroyed a residence there last year. That residence has been subsequently demolished, and the applicant is applying to rezone to our R1 single-family residential zone in order to permit a 2-lot subdivision.
So that particular chunk of property, what size is it right now?
It's currently just under half a hectare.
How many acres is that?
Okay.
Is that very big?
2.85 acres to a hectare?
Yeah. Just wondering if I did the conversion for you.
Sorry, Chris could get that for us in a second, probably.
I mean, the current lot size it has, on the legal plan, it's hard to see. That's where the dimensions come from.
It's half
So
a
it's
hectare.
about 40 meters in width by about 111 meters deep. I'm sorry, I stuck with the metric, so
Okay.
we can certainly find that in Imperial for you, absolutely.
No,
Half a hectare is about 1 1/4 acres.
Okay, so just over an acre.
Okay. So would they, I guess my question is that, are there city sewers to that property line?
Yeah, the city sewer actually comes from the back from the mobile home park.
Oh, okay.
And it crosses and it provides service to Lot 2 and provides service to Lot 1 via statutory right-of-ways. So there will be further requirement for some additional statutory right-of-ways to provide for the lots A and B, but those are both doable. So sanitary sewer is available and city water is available off Pierce Road.
Okay, and the shared access easement agreement, which goes onto the property beside it?
Yeah, so there's a requirement, so what they're proposing is a panhandle lot.
Right.
And there's already an existing panhandle lot there. There's Land Title Office, or Land Title Act rules that where you're having a double panhandle like this, there's a minimum, it has to be 12 meters wide.
Okay.
There's an agreement between the existing panhandle owner and this property owner that would allow this to occur. That will have to be proven out, and those legal agreements will be required as part of the subdivision process.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McClellan?
Yeah, so is this orange lines that go crissy-cross on page 108 of the package, is that your sewer?
Those are some of the statutory right-of-ways for sewer. Some of them are restrictive covenants on the edge of Lugan Creek there.
Oh, okay, because it's not funny direction
Yeah.
for sewer to go.
No,
I'd rather
the
mine
straight
went
the straight lines are the sewers. The one towards Lugan Creek are different.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Council? Okay, then, Councillor Alberni, would you like to make that motion?
That the summary report of the April 21, 2016 meeting of the Advisory Planning Commission be received.
Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And now we get on to our zoning text amendments. This is in preparation of advancing to the public hearing. Councillor Alamani?
That zoning text amendment T9 3135 2nd Avenue K. Ambrose bylaw number 4907 be now introduced and read a first time.
Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That zoning text amendment T9 3135 2nd Avenue K Ambrose bylaw number 4907 be read a second time.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That zoning bylaw map amendment number 13 4981 Ian Avenue D Paquette bylaw number 4908 be now introduced and read a first time.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That zoning bylaw map amendment number 13 4981 Ian Avenue D Paquette bylaw number 4908 be read a second time.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That zoning bylaw map amendment number 14 5820 Pierce Road R Van Vliet bylaw number 4909 be now introduced and read a first time.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That zoning bylaw map amendment number 14 5820 Pierce Road R Van Vliet bylaw number 4909 be read a second time.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
That the following bylaws be advanced to a public hearing on Monday, May 30th, 2016 at 5 p.m. in the City Hall Council Chambers. Zoning text amendment T9 3135 2nd Avenue K Ambrose bylaw number 4907. Zoning bylaw map amendment number 13 4981 Ian Avenue D Paquette bylaw number 4908. Zoning bylaw map amendment number 14 5820 Pierce Road R Van Vliet bylaw number 4909.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay.
Make sure we have clarification. Mr. Smith, just for clarification, in your report, you have that address listed as 3152, but in the motions we have it as 3135. I just don't know if we need to make that change to the minutes, maybe.
Which is the right number?
See, I am paying attention. I read.
Good for you.
Appreciate it. Not just a pretty face.
It's 3135.
We're good to go.
So the bylaws are correct, which is important.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Paulson. That had you thinking, didn't it, there, City Planner? Okay, correspondence for action, Council. We have from Pete Milliken a letter dated April 19th expressing concern about spending $50,000 on a bike lane study. City Clerk, can you just put this into perspective for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just for clarification that there is $50,000 contained in our current 5-year plan, but it's to advance a grant application through Bike BC for construction of bike lanes. So it's not for a bike lane study.
Okay, it's for the actual bike lanes itself.
Yeah,
themselves.
it's in order to leverage a grant application.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Paulson, do you want to make that motion?
That the letter dated April 19th, 2016 from Pete Milliken expressing concern about spending $50,000 on a bike lane study be received and a response provided to the writer.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And from the Heart and Stroke Foundation of BC and Yukon, we have a letter dated April 26th, 2016, requesting the use of city streets for the Heart and Stroke Big Bike event taking place from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, June the 11th, with the route beginning and ending in the Bilo Foods parking lot on Johnson Road. And Councillor McClellan, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move the letter dated April 26, 2016 from the Heart and Stroke Foundation of BC and the Yukon, requesting use of city streets for the Heart and Stroke Big Bike event taking place from 8 to 8 on Saturday, June the 11th, 2016, with route beginning and ending at Bilo Foods parking lot be received, and the request endorsed by council subject to the event assuming full responsibility, including liability insurance for the event.
there a seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. And council, I'd like you to note that I'm going to be on that big bike ride, and we are raising money.
We'll be there cheering you on.
Okay, so bring your money.
Money? We're just coming to cheer.
It's fun. You can spell me off. And if you get tired, somebody else will do the pedaling for you. It's great. And from the Valley Street Rods Car Club, we have an email dated April 26, 2016, requesting the use of the parking area at Harbor Quay for the Thunder in the Valley Car Show event on Friday, August the 5th, and closure of regular traffic to Harbor Quay from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. to accommodate. Councillor Washington, would you like to make that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the email dated April 26, 2016 from the Valley Street Rod Car Club requesting use of Harbor Quay for the Thunder in the Valley Show event on Friday, August 5th, 2016, and closure to regular traffic to the Harbor Quay from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. to accommodate the event be received, and council concur with the request, subject to notification of emergency service, consultation with all affected businesses to minimize potential conflict and traffic concerns, and provision of standard liability insurance.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Councillor Minions, you in favor of the car show? Thank you. Was that all the minions in the background or just one?
I have a grunty baby, so I'm muting you.
All right. This is a whole new territory for us, but it's okay. You're helping us get with the times. From the Royal Canadian Legion, we have an email dated May the 2nd, 2016, thanking council for recognizing the local veterans and troops in the Legion's Remembrance Project, the Military Service Recognition Book, and requesting continued support by purchasing an ad in the 2016 edition. So, Councillor Sauvé, are you prepared to make that motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that the email dated May 2nd, 2016 from the Royal Canadian Legion requesting support from the city by purchasing an ad in the 2016 edition of the Military Service Recognition Book be received, and a business card size ad place at the cost of $295.24 plus GST.
There's a seconder?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Minions? Okay. And City Clerk, we have some informational correspondence.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, an email from the Minister of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training and Minister responsible for Labour, inviting mayors from every community to become official tourism ambassadors for a day on Monday, May the 30th to celebrate Tourism Week. A letter from the Ministry of Finance, Gaming Policy and Enforcement Branch advising of the $112,333.52 payment to the city, representing casino revenue for the period January to March 2016, and also a report from the Director of Finance providing information on allocation of funds. A copy of a letter from the Mayor of the District of Kitimat to the Premier of BC supporting implementation of the graduated licensing program for motorcyclists with training and power restrictions. A letter from the Ministry of Advanced Education responding to the Mayor's letter of March 30th regarding council support for tuition-free adult basic education. A letter from the Insurance Bureau of Canada advising that the Shake Zone program, a mobile earthquake simulator, will be in Port Alberni on May 31st to help build public awareness of earthquake risk. And lastly, we have our late item from Darren Willis of ADSS Track and Field Club, an email dated May 6th on behalf of the team, thanking city crews for their work in helping them host a great championship meet at Bob Daly Stadium last week.
Thank you, City Clerk and Council. Just like to point out that once a reminder that the Shake Zone is at Echo if people want to experience it. And at 2 p.m. on May 30th, I will be one of our official tourism ambassadors at the Visitor Center. Councillor McClement, do you want to make that motion? To
Yes,
receive
Mr.
these?
Mayor, and for the correspondence, move the information correspondence numbers 1 through 6 be received and filed.
Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. There's no report from in camera, and which brings us to the mayor's report. Council, a lot of things happened since our last council meeting. April 28th, I attended the day of mourning on behalf of council and spoke. It was a very moving ceremony at the Steelworkers Hall. And then after that, I headed to the ADSS exit interviews for grade 12s who are graduating in June of this year. The students were extremely well spoken and well prepared. The 29th, I headed to McLean's Mill for their unofficial reveal. They've done a lot of work out there, still have lots of plans, but encourage council to go out and have a look if you haven't had an opportunity. There's been already some significant changes. The next day, I headed to the Mini World Cup of Soccer tournament. Almost 1,200 soccer players from Vancouver Island, Lower Mainland, and the Yukon. Both boys and girls teams and mixed teams as well. With all their parents, it was a lot of people, parents and coaches, a lot of people. JNL had the busiest weekend ever in its history, I believe. They had to bring in extra cooks and extra servers, so it was quite the deal. Next day, I headed to the opening of the aquarium down at Harbor Key. I liked it so much I went back a couple times that day, as well as the number 7 challenge, both seeing the runners off and seeing them at the other end. And thank goodness for the Beaufort gang, otherwise maybe the train would have beat the first runners, but as it was, there were some runners that beat that train, and it was great. It was a really good event, very well organized. May the 2nd, we had the official dedication of our Dry Creek project. Thank you to the newspaper for being there to witness that. And then later on that day, I was at the AV Learning Council meeting at North Island College and chaired by North Island College. May the 4th, I was giving out coffees and hamburgers and things for McHappy Day. McDonald's was raising money for McDonald's house. And May the 5th, we had a picture here for Hospice Month. So I'm assuming that will come out sooner rather than later. And that, council, is my report. I move acceptance of the report. Second. All those in favor? Here. Carried. And Councillor Washington, what have you been up to? Oops, I'm sorry. Regional District. That had you worried, didn't it? Councillor McClellan from the Regional District.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the Regional District, there's just 2 things. One, we met again as the Transportation Committee and have not yet had an answer back to our second set of queries from the Ministry of Transportation, so we'll be looking for some phone calls being made to see what we can come up with. At the last meeting of the actual Regional District, I think the actual debate part took about 30 minutes because at the beginning of the meeting we had Tom McAvey and Bob Cole discussing the Dog Mountain fire and the problems that were around that. And so it also had the 50th anniversary, which is why we were so quick to get going. So a lot of the business was put off to this coming Wednesday. And one of the parts of business that was put off is debating on something we can do to try and make sure the same problem doesn't happen if we should ever get another forest fire. Unfortunately, at the Dog Mountain fire, the helicopter that was there wasn't supposed to be fighting the fire, but maybe protecting a few homes, and then he was sent home. And so the reports have come in and so on, so we'll have to see what happens and what we can do about that. So that concludes the report for Regional District.
And I'll second it. All those in favor? Carried. And councillors' reports. Now, Councillor Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just going to talk a little bit about the Heritage Commission meeting May the 4th. From the museum, they're in the process of hiring 2 grant-funded students for the summer. The Film Fest was completed with over 1,000 attendees in this series, so that's revenue that goes right into the AV Museum educational program. And of course, this past weekend, they were, had the Heritage Fair, so they were all quite busy there. And work is proceeding on the new exhibit, Vacation Land, Pleasurable Diversions in the Alberni Valley. From the Chamber of Commerce, they reported 204 participants in the steam train, Steam versus Feet. And also, just a reminder, the AV Hospice Society Ty Watson House Gala this May 28th at Echo Center. Tickets are available from the Society or online. And under the Community Arts Council, they're happy to report that 2 windows at the Colson Building, which is the former Woodward's Building, are being used to promote their events. So they're thrilled with that. And they have a huge book sale coming up May 13, 14 at Echo Center. And it's reported that they have 1 trillion books to get rid of. So lots of things there. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Alberni.
Just a few things, I guess. Went to the number 7 challenge. Got a chance to ride up on the train because I'm just way too lazy to join all those crazy runners. There was over 200, which was amazing. It was a really great event. I know a few people who came in from out of town to go there, and they all raved about it. I had one friend who came in about 30 seconds after the train, so I know he'll be back because he was a little upset about that. But yeah, it was a really, really great event. Didn't hear anything but positive reviews about the race, the organization, the train, the mill afterwards, because they all got to stay up there and see it afterwards. The new renovations done to the mill look great as well. So yeah, just really good day. The next day, there was the butterfly event down on Canal Beach, which I haven't seen any actual numbers, but I think anecdotally, I think it was probably the biggest thing that's happened there so far. There was a ridiculous amount of people there. It was pretty tight for getting out. Everybody trying to get out at the same time, but it was a great event. Great weather. The butterflies were very pretty, and it was a great cause for the Hospice Society. So hopefully that will happen again next year. Went down to the aquarium to check out the West Coast Aquatic Society. Got a membership. Hopefully everybody does. It's only $25, and good for all year. So great value, and you can just go down there and check it out. They don't have everything in there yet. I'm really looking forward to going back down so I can see the jellyfish tank full, because jellyfish are awesome. But yeah, it looked like a really great little aquarium. The kids loved checking out all the stuff in the touch tanks. So yeah, really cool. Advisory Planning Commission, you've heard plenty about already. We had a Food Security Climate Change Disruption Committee meeting that you will see minutes in soon. Went and represented the city as backup for the mayor at the wrestling gala, the awards ceremony last Thursday. Happy to report it was not as long as sometimes it can be. It was great though. The students were fantastic. Tons of awards put out, and the team they have is looking really great for the upcoming year. They don't have any seniors on the team this year, so they have a really amazing young team that's going to power them through a lot of great wrestling, I think. And then the last one on yesterday, went down to the duck races, the first annual duck races for raising money for a woman suffering from MS. It was a great event, especially for a first time organizing. There was lots and lots of people down there, lots of kids having fun in the soap pit and all sorts of good stuff. The ducks didn't quite cooperate. There was a little misdirection on which way the river was actually going. It kind of went down one way and then it went up the other way, and then the wind shifted, and so there's what can you do? You can't control nature, but it's all good. It was a lot of fun. So that's it. That's my report.
Was there a winner?
There was a winner decided eventually. Yeah, it was a duck that decided to not quite move as much as the others, and then decided to move quite a bit. that was kind of how it just kind of went all day.
Okay.
It was all very, very random a little bit, but that's all good. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Councillor Paulson.
I attended the grad exit interviews as well, Mr. Mayor, and I think this is the 6th or 7th year that I've done that, and every year I'm absolutely so totally impressed with the people, young people that were graduating out of grade 12, and this year was no exception. They're just incredible. Attended the McLean Mill preseason soft open house. Once again, I reiterate, they've done a lot of cleanup, a lot of work out there, and the place is looking really good. Attended the Race the Train #7 challenge. Once again, my daughter and her girlfriend raced in it. They were just so elated when they finished at the end, and I saw Ms. Thomas racing too as well, so congratulations to you for being in the race. I did talk to a couple from Victoria at the end of the race, and kudos go to whoever was at the Times Colonist race promoting the #7 challenge, because that's where they picked up on it. And they said, oh, let's go up there and do that. We've got 2 weeks to recoup, so we'll go up to Port Alberni. Loved the race. I talked to a lady in her mid-50s that races marathons, actually, as her forte. She had nothing but kudos to say about the race organizers, how well laid out the race was, and actually how challenging the course was as well. So well done to the people that were organizing that. Attended the AV Learning Council meeting, Mr. Mayor. May 5th and 6th, attended the Heritage Fair as a judge, first time. There was over 100 students there from Campbell River, Courtenay, Comox, Oceanside, Ucluelet, and of course the Alberni Valley. And if you've never attended that before, which I hadn't, it's another thing where you get your eyes open and realize how talented some of these young students are. And it was all the way from grade 3 to grade 12. And the ideas and thoughts that they came up with and the work that was put into it was phenomenal. And last but not least, and I can't remember what the date of the last Saturday of the month is, but I want to put in a plug for the Ty Watson Black Tie Gala, and I think there's still tickets left. What a great cause, great meals. I've seen the menu, so if you want to go, you can spend $100 on a ticket. You get $60 back on that on your income tax. So it's a great cause.
May 28th.
May 28th.
Councillor Sauvé.
Nothing for Councillor Minions, or?
Well, I'm going to give her the last
Been busy.
one. Gives her time to think.
So on the 26th, Continuing Care Society, the group met and a lot of discussion over the new bus that's going to be ordered fairly soon if it's not done already. We're still trying to raise funds for that bus for our seniors, so please, if there's anybody out there with some spare money for a good cause for our seniors, please get a hold of the Echo Center. Also, they're looking for ants. They're looking for Class 4 drivers. I know I've mentioned this before, but nobody has really stepped up, so they're desperately looking for drivers. So please just get a hold of the Echo Center. Through the Echo Center and Sunshine Club also, but getting a hold of Perth Park or Echo Village and help them out, please. Attended the Regional District 50th anniversary with yourself, Mr. Mayor, which was well attended. Attended the grad transition interviews at ADSS with yourself and Councillor Paulson. So that was very interesting, and listening to the students that are ready to face the world, and a lot of them seem nervous to the fact during the interview that, it's best to get a good plan. And anyways, the Twinning Society, we met and discussed about the delegation that will be arriving in July from the Abishiri, Japan. This will be the around dates where my granddaughter is probably going to be born, so hopefully me and the mayor could work together on this delegation. On the same day, we had the privilege to chair the Alzheimer's Walk that happened at the field, and it was well attended. The honoree was Julian Trumper and her husband, and it was nice to see the family coming down there, and we have awesome prizes. There was a lot of support from our local businesses, so I want to thank them all personally, and a big thank you for all the volunteers to making that a successful day. Attended the Heritage Fair at the Echo Center. I represented the mayor and spoke on behalf of the city, and also did some judging, and I won't elaborate more than Councillor Paulson, but it was very interesting. And it's amazing at this age we still learn a lot of history from our Canadian aspect of things. Also, I attended the butterfly release, which was very well attended. I know the organizers for next year, they did not expect, but the radio club was there to direct traffic and all that, so a big thank you for them if it wasn't for them. I took one for the team. I had to do a toilet paper run. So, but the thing is, it was well attended, and it was a privilege to be there. And I showed up at the duck races near the end, and it was amazing how many things they had for the kids there. So that was quite enjoyable. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor McClellan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just sitting here listening to all the reports, and so much has happened in the valley in the last couple of weeks that yeah, it's good. It's produced a lot of business, and a lot of people come to town. I attended quite some of the World Cup of Soccer, as my grandson was playing in one of the teams. He was representing, I think, Jordan. And when I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, they'd had several calls from parents who wanted to race against a train. They heard that was on, so at the same time they're out running against a train. And a lot of things were tied together. I really hope that we can somehow get more communication of things like this going on, because one didn't know the other was coming in many cases. So if we can double it up and that people can get more things, and more things will be even more successful. Heritage Fair I thought was very well run this year. I got to judge again, and unfortunately I had to go before the debate came as to who won, and then I didn't make it to the actual awards. I had to go to a funeral I forgot about. So anyway, the other event that I was involved in this past few weeks is I went to a place called Kilby with the mayor, and this is a provincial heritage site, and we were interested in seeing how they advertise, how they function, and how they make money since the province has technically cut them off, which is basically what they did. They call it devolution, I believe was the technical word for it. Although they have come back with a bit more money to try and make them sustainable, which means they have to get rid of getting the money real soon. So they had some very good ideas. It's a small town. There was a mill there. The general store is kind of like the museum. They did things for children to keep people coming back, such as having animals on the site so they could come. They have a campground that they run, and it basically subsidizes about 2/3 of the cost of running the heritage site. So it's, and their store they have, it's everything's on consignment, and although they charge people to have the shelf up, and so it cuts down on the costs. And we'll be discussing some of this. Some of it may fit with the McLean Millwork with the Board of Management. We're having a meeting tomorrow night, and I've already sent them an email explaining some of the things I saw and some of the ideas that we can adapt. Maybe not identical, but that was the concept of having the Board of Management, so that we can reduce the cost to the taxpayer and keep a star, not Class A heritage site. So I guess that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor, and hope everybody enjoys the sunshine coming.
And Councillor Minions, do you have anything to add? I know what you were doing on the day of the number 7 challenge.
Yeah, I think my husband was very relieved to not end up having to run the number 7 challenge. Nothing to report council related.
Councillor Minions, would you like to expound on your piano project?
Oh yes, so actually when Ron and I hosted the Youth Advisory Committee's pizza party and discussion night, one idea that came out of it was a painted piano project to place painted pianos around town. So the group got really excited about it, and a couple of the kids that were there ended up taking it to their, I think it's Ann Oswald's civics class, and they asked if it would be okay if they did the project there. Which of course, you know, we said that'd be fantastic. So they have since acquired a piano and gotten it, they're working on a design and prepping it for painting, and they're working with Parks and Rec on where they're going to place it. Hopefully, they're hoping, I think, for somewhere at the Harbor Quay. So yeah, it's exciting to see that going, and they're hoping to have it completed by June.
And anybody can play it, right?
That's right.
Do you want to move acceptance of the reports?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move acceptance of all these fantastic reports.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried.
And I'd move adjourned, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't do that yet, no. I'm trying.
It's possible we have some, we don't have any new business, but it is possible that there's a question period as an opportunity for public and press to ask questions of mayor and council.
Quick, Mr. Mayor, just some clarification, if you don't mind, on the excluded staff remuneration. I understand that the 6% that used to be paid in lieu of overtime is being reduced to 4% and rolled into their salaries. And I didn't understand, I didn't quite get what the one-time lump sum payment was. Would you mind this to?
The lump sum payment was in lieu of the 1% that goes in as an additional amount into their pension, and it's a matching 1%. The city pays 1%, the exempt staff pays 1%, and we've been doing so since 1976. Right. So this is above their normal superannuation contribution. There are.
So they're
It's not related to the 4%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a separate amount that 26 municipalities choose to participate in.
Yeah, no, I understand the pension plan. I'm
okay.
Involved in it quite deeply.
Figured you were.
That takes a second question out of there. Job evaluation versus performance. Do we do performance evaluations at all with the city staff?
Performance evaluations are done on an as-needs basis. I don't think they're done on a regular basis. Am I correct, City Manager?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. We don't have a formal process for performance evaluation.
Right. Okay.
Does the city see of any value in doing performance evaluations?
We see a value in doing the performance evaluations, but not on a regular schedule basis necessarily, because committing ourselves to doing that, say on an annual basis, is sometimes really challenging, and doing that sort of thing definitely is a management right. So it's not that we don't do it, but we don't put it into contract.
Okay. And the annual salary increase of that has in the past, I understand, been based on the consumer price index. I'm glad to hear that you're going to review it at the end of the year rather than just go with that. Right. Is it the CUPE contract? How do their wage increases apply? Do they go by the cost of living index? No, theirs is a negotiated rate, so much per year, and in the case of our current CUPE contract, it varies from year to year and is escalating a little bit over time, and their current contract ends in 2018. Right, I believe. Okay, I've got some other questions, but I won't, not tonight. This information that was covered tonight will be on the site, the city site, will it not? Well, it's in the agenda. So together with the policies that we've just approved, they're in the agenda. It hasn't been costed out yet because we're still working on the exact costing. But when it's done, we'll certainly make that information available. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Councillor McClellan, over to you.
Move adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
Second. All in favor? And I want you to know, Council, that it is still light outside, and the sun only left about 12 minutes ago. You were watching? I was watching.